Ladies and gentlemen, today is not just another day, it's an opportunity to rebuild yourself. Each moment you choose discipline over distraction, growth over comfort, and belief over doubt, you move closer to the person you were meant to be. See that version of yourself clearly. Commit to it daily, protect your energy, sharpen your focus, and never forget. Transformation begins the moment you decide you are worth the effort. Rebuilding yourself begins with a deep and honest acknowledgement of what has been broken. This isn't about dwelling in sadness or glorifying pain. It's about facing the truth of where you are without denial or disguise. We all carry scars, emotional wounds, disappointments, failures, or regrets that quietly influence our thoughts, actions, and beliefs. Often people try to rebuild their lives on top of unresolved pain, burying the hurt and hoping that time alone will heal everything. But healing doesn't come from suppression, it comes from confrontation. To rebuild yourself fully and meaningfully, you must first face the broken pieces of your past, your identity, and your choices. Acknowledgement is not weakness, it is strength. It takes real courage to look at yourself in the mirror and say, "I'm not okay. I've made mistakes, I've been hurt, I've hurt others, and I need to start over." That moment of brutal honesty becomes the foundation for true growth. You are not pretending anymore. You're not lying to yourself or masking the pain with distractions. You're seeing clearly, maybe for the first time in years. And with that clarity comes power. The power to begin again. We often live in fear of being seen as broken. Society teaches us to keep it together, to be strong, to not show cracks. But in reality, your brokenness does not diminish your value. It makes you human. And ironically, it is in the moments when we feel most shattered that the greatest transformation becomes possible. Like a building that must be torn down before it can be rebuilt, your breakdown can become your breakthrough. If you ignore the damage, you build on a faulty foundation. But if you acknowledge it, you can begin to clear the rubble and make space for something stronger, wiser, and more authentic. This process requires patience. You may have spent years layering your pain with distractions, overworking, people-pleasing, or chasing temporary highs. When you remove those layers, it can feel raw and uncomfortable. But discomfort is a sign of growth. Let yourself feel what you need to feel: anger, sadness, grief, shame, and understand that those emotions are not permanent. They are signals, they are teachers, they point you to what still needs healing. And when you give yourself permission to feel, you also give yourself permission to move forward. You cannot heal what you refuse to see. Acknowledging the broken pieces means naming them out loud. Whether that's saying, "I feel like I failed," or "I don't know who I am anymore," or "I feel lost." These words may hurt to speak, but they hold incredible truth, and truth is where freedom begins. The act of naming your pain gives you a sense of ownership. It says, "This happened, this is real, but this is not the end." Too many people wait for life to magically improve without doing the internal work. But rebuilding yourself is not passive, it's intentional. It begins the moment you stop running from your story and start rewriting it. That doesn't mean erasing the past. It means using it. Your pain is not your prison. It can be your power if you learn from it. Every experience, no matter how difficult, holds a lesson. Every scar tells a story of survival, and every setback contains the seed of a comeback, if you're willing to plant it. Start by asking yourself, what have I been avoiding? What wounds am I carrying? What parts of me feel disconnected or out of alignment? Don't rush to fix everything all at once. Just acknowledge. That step alone creates a shift. It says, "I am taking responsibility for my life," and that is how transformation begins. Rebuilding yourself is not about returning to who you used to be. It's about becoming someone new, someone more grounded, more intentional, and more whole. But that journey only begins when you're brave enough to walk through the ruins of your past and say, "I'm still here, I'm still standing, and I'm ready to build again." So don't hide your broken pieces. Honor them. Let them remind you of how far you've come and how much strength lies within you. You are not defined by what was lost. You are defined by what you decide to create next. And when you begin from a place of truth, of honesty, and of self-compassion, you're not just rebuilding, you're becoming something unshakable. The way you speak to yourself creates the foundation for how you experience life. Every day, whether you realize it or not, you are engaged in a continuous conversation with yourself, a dialogue that shapes your beliefs, your emotions, your self-worth, and ultimately your actions. Most people live with a harsh inner critic that constantly whispers self-doubt, fear, and insecurity. You're not good enough. You always mess up. Why even try? These thoughts don't just stay thoughts. They become mental programming. They become the lens through which you view yourself and the world. When you talk to yourself in a negative or destructive way, you're not simply expressing a momentary feeling. You're reinforcing a narrative, and over time, that narrative becomes your identity. The danger of self-talk isn't just in its words, it's in its repetition. What you say to yourself consistently, you eventually believe. And what you believe, you begin to act on. That's why so many people find themselves stuck in cycles of self-sabotage, because deep down, they've trained their minds to expect failure, not success. But here's the truth. You have the power to rewrite that internal script. You are not obligated to continue being your own worst enemy. You can learn to speak to yourself with kindness, encouragement, and honesty, not delusion, but empowering truth. The goal is not to ignore your flaws or pretend everything is perfect. It's to recognize your struggles without letting them define you. You can say, I'm struggling right now, but I'm not broken. Or this is hard, but I'm capable of learning and growing. That is how you begin to shift your self-talk from a weapon into a tool. Talking to yourself with compassion doesn't make you weak, it makes you resilient. People often think they need to be tough on themselves to succeed, but brutal self-talk rarely leads to lasting growth. In fact, it often leads to burnout, anxiety, and emotional exhaustion. Encouragement, not criticism, builds momentum. Think about how you would speak to a close friend going through a tough time. Would you call them a failure, a loser, or worthless? Of course not. You'd offer support, motivation, and love. You deserve that same kindness from yourself. When you begin speaking to yourself with intention, everything changes. You start creating a safe space in your own mind, a place where you can face challenges without fear of your own judgment. You stop hiding from your goals because failure no longer feels like a personal attack. Instead, it becomes a learning opportunity. You become more willing to take risks, try new things, and pursue growth because your inner voice is no longer waiting to tear you down. This doesn't mean you'll never have negative thoughts again. You're human, but it means you don't have to believe every harsh thought that pops into your head. You can pause and say, that's just an old belief talking. That's not who I am anymore. And with practice, those old beliefs begin to lose their power. You replace them with something new. I am learning. I am healing. I am worthy. These aren't just words. They are seeds. And when you plant them daily, they grow into confidence, clarity, and peace of mind. Start small. Catch yourself the next time you say something cruel or discouraging in your head. Don't judge yourself for it, just notice it. Then choose a new thought. Choose to speak to yourself like someone who believes in your future. Write down affirmations that reflect who you want to become. Say them out loud in the mirror every morning. At first, it might feel strange or even fake, but over time, your mind will begin to absorb and reflect those new beliefs. This practice is not about pretending to be happy all the time. It's about choosing to be on your own side because life is already hard enough. The world will challenge you, criticize you, and at times try to tear you down. The last thing you need is to be doing that to yourself too. So decide today. You will no longer be your own enemy. You will be your own coach, your own ally, your own biggest supporter. Talk to yourself, not with shame, but with love, not with fear, but with hope. And in doing so, you won't just rebuild your confidence, you'll rebuild your entire life. Building strong daily habits is one of the most powerful and transformative steps you can take to rebuild yourself. Habits are not just routines. They are the invisible architecture of your life. They shape how you think, how you feel, and how you respond to the world. While motivation may get you started, it is your habits that keep you going. And when life feels chaotic or uncertain, strong daily habits provide structure, consistency, and a sense of control. They ground you in action when your mind tries to pull you into doubt, fear, or procrastination. Most people wait for the right moment to begin, when they feel more inspired, more confident, more prepared. But in reality, habits are not built on emotion. They are built on repetition. You don't need to feel ready to start. You just need to start. Begin with something small. Wake up at the same time every day. Make your bed. Drink water first thing in the morning. Stretch for 5 minutes. Journal your thoughts. These may seem like insignificant actions, but they are powerful declarations to your brain. I'm taking control. I'm showing up for myself. The beauty of daily habits is that they stack. When you commit to one small discipline, it becomes easier to add another. Success builds momentum, and soon you begin to trust yourself in a way you never have before. You no longer break promises to yourself. You no longer wake up every morning feeling lost or unmotivated. You have direction, even if it's subtle at first. That morning stretch turns into a full workout. That short journaling session leads to deep self-reflection. That glass of water becomes a symbol of your decision to live more intentionally. Every habit you choose is a brick in the foundation of the new version of you. But make no mistake, habit building is not easy. It requires patience, discipline, and commitment, especially in the beginning. There will be days you don't feel like doing it, days when you're tired, stressed, or discouraged. But that's when it matters most. Because strong habits are not formed in moments of ease, they're forged in moments of resistance. Each time you show up, despite how you feel, you reinforce a new identity. I am someone who follows through. I am someone who takes action. I am someone who doesn't quit on myself. If you've ever felt like you don't recognize who you've become, or if you've lost confidence in your ability to change, the path forward begins with small daily commitments. These habits are not about perfection. They're about consistency. The goal is not to do everything at once, but to do something every day. If you can keep a promise to yourself for one day, you can keep it for 2. If you can do it for 2, you can build it into a week, then a month, then a lifetime. What makes daily habits so powerful is that they are rooted in action, not just intention. Many people have good intentions. They want to grow, to heal, to become better, but intentions without action are just wishes. Habits are how you turn your vision into reality. They are the vehicle through which change becomes visible and real. Every time you choose to take a positive action, even when it's uncomfortable, you teach your brain that you are capable of doing hard things, that you are worthy of growth, that your future matters more than your excuses. Your habits also influence your identity in subtle yet profound ways. When you write every day, you begin to see yourself as a writer. When you train your body regularly, you begin to see yourself as an athlete. When you read, reflect, and seek growth each day, you start to see yourself as someone who values wisdom and self-improvement. Over time, your identity shifts, not because you forced it, but because your habits built it. Surrounding yourself with habits that align with your goals is like programming your environment for success. And the best part is that you don't have to wait for motivation to strike. When habits are strong, they take over. They guide you even when your mind is tired or distracted. That is the power of automatic discipline. It frees your energy from constant decision-making and channels it into forward motion. In the end, your life is a reflection of your daily choices. If you want to rebuild yourself, don't wait for a big breakthrough. Begin with one habit, one action, one moment of intention, followed by one act of discipline. That's how transformation begins, not in a rush, but in the quiet power of daily repetition. Your habits are your foundation. Make them strong, make them meaningful, and your new life will be built brick by brick with purpose. Reprogramming your brain for resilience is one of the most life-changing things you can do when you're rebuilding yourself. Life will inevitably test you through failure, disappointment, loss, or unexpected change. These challenges are not avoidable, but your response to them is within your control. Resilience is not something you are simply born with or without. It is something that can be learned, practiced, and developed over time. And the key lies in understanding that your brain is not fixed. It can be reprogrammed. Your brain is always adapting. This is thanks to a concept called neuroplasticity, which means your brain has the ability to change its structure and function based on your thoughts, behaviors, and experiences. If you constantly dwell on negative thoughts or self-defeating beliefs, your brain wires itself to expect defeat. But if you consistently choose empowering thoughts, take intentional actions, and respond to setbacks with a growth mindset, you train your brain to become stronger, more flexible, and more capable in the face of adversity. The way you interpret events in your life directly affects your brain's response. Two people can experience the same setback, yet one crumbles under pressure while the other uses it as fuel to grow. The difference lies not in the situation, but in the internal programming, what each person believes about failure, struggle, and themselves. If you believe that failure is final, that pain means you're weak, or that setbacks are a sign to quit, your brain will interpret obstacles as threats. It will shut down, go into survival mode, and push you into avoidance. But if you train yourself to see failure as feedback, to understand that discomfort is a necessary part of growth, and to believe that you are capable of change, your brain starts to respond differently. It becomes a problem solver, not a protector of fear. One of the most effective ways to reprogram your brain is to change the stories you tell yourself. Every time you say, "I can't do this," or "this always happens to me," you are strengthening neural pathways that reinforce helplessness and victimhood. But when you replace those stories with ones like, "I've faced hard things before and I'm still here," or "I may not have all the answers now, but I'm learning," you create new mental pathways, ones rooted in strength, belief, and progress. Over time, these new stories become your default response. And when life gets hard, your mind doesn't retreat, it rises. Another crucial part of this mental reprogramming is learning to become aware of your triggers and automatic reactions. When something doesn't go your way, what's your first response? Do you panic, shut down, blame others, or beat yourself up? These responses are learned behaviors that have likely developed over years of repetition, but they are not permanent. You can pause, become aware of the mental script running through your head, and choose a new response. That small moment of awareness is powerful. It is the doorway to change. You're no longer just reacting, you're consciously responding. That's how resilience begins to take root. Developing resilience also means intentionally exposing yourself to controlled challenges. Avoiding discomfort may feel safe in the moment, but it weakens your capacity to handle stress in the long run. To grow resilient, you must lean into challenge. Not recklessly, but with purpose. Start by doing things that stretch you. Have that difficult conversation. Take the first step toward a scary goal. Wake up earlier, train your body, discipline your focus. Every time you do something uncomfortable but necessary, you send your brain a message. I can handle this. With repetition, that message becomes your new baseline belief. Gratitude and mindfulness are also powerful tools in rewiring your brain. When you focus on what's going right, even in the middle of difficulty, you shift your brain's attention away from threat and into possibility. You begin to see not just what's wrong, but what can still be built. Practicing mindfulness trains your brain to stay present rather than spiraling into worry about the future or regret about the past. Resilient minds don't avoid reality. They face it with clarity and calm. They know that panic solves nothing, but presence opens doors. Finally, it's important to remember that reprogramming your brain is not an overnight task. It's a daily decision, a process of repetition, reinforcement, and reflection. Some days you will fall back into old patterns, and that's okay. What matters is that you notice it, reset, and keep going. Your brain responds to effort, not perfection. The more you commit to mental growth, the more your brain transforms. Slowly, you begin to feel stronger, your reactions change, your mindset evolves, and you realize that resilience is no longer something you chase. It has become a part of who you are. Protecting your energy and environment is essential when you are in the process of rebuilding yourself. Growth, healing, and transformation require focus, clarity, and emotional strength. But if your energy is constantly being drained by toxic people, chaotic surroundings, or negative distractions, even your best efforts can be sabotaged. Your energy is your life force. It fuels your thoughts, your emotions, your discipline, and your resilience. And just like you would protect something valuable from being stolen or damaged, you must protect your energy with the same intensity and care. Many people underestimate how much their environment affects their mindset. You might think your surroundings are neutral, but the truth is, everything you interact with, your home, your phone, your social circle, your workspace, either nourishes you or depletes you. If your environment is filled with clutter, noise, negativity, or constant distractions, your mind will struggle to stay grounded and focused. On the other hand, if you intentionally create a space that reflects peace, order, and intention, your mind will naturally begin to mirror those qualities. Your outer world often reflects your inner world, but it also works the other way around. Cleaning, organizing, and simplifying your environment can help bring clarity and calm within. Protecting your energy also means becoming extremely selective about who and what you give your time to. Not everyone deserves access to you. There are people who will uplift you, challenge you to grow, and support your journey, and there are others who will drain you, confuse you, or constantly pull you into chaos. When you are rebuilding yourself, you are in a vulnerable, sensitive phase. You cannot afford to be around people who don't respect your boundaries, who gossip, who complain constantly, or who try to bring you back to the old version of yourself you're trying to leave behind. You must be willing to walk away from relationships that are no longer aligned with your values or your vision. That doesn't make you heartless. It makes you self-respecting. In fact, one of the greatest signs of growth is when you stop trying to fix or save everyone around you and start choosing peace over chaos. Not every invitation deserves a response. Not every opinion needs to be addressed. Not every battle is worth fighting. Sometimes protecting your energy means staying silent. It means removing yourself from conversations that drain your spirit. It means turning off the news, logging off social media, or saying no without guilt. Your peace is not negotiable. Boundaries are a critical part of protecting your energy. Many people feel guilty for setting boundaries because they confuse them with rejection or selfishness. But boundaries are not about pushing people away. They are about honoring your limits. They're about recognizing what helps you grow versus what holds you back. When you set a boundary, you are saying, this is what I need to stay healthy and focused, and the people who genuinely care about you will understand that. The ones who don't respect your boundaries were never meant to stay in your space long term. You also have to protect your energy from yourself. Sometimes it's not other people draining you, it's your own thoughts, habits, and choices. Staying up late, scrolling mindlessly, overcommitting, avoiding rest, ignoring your needs. These are all forms of self-sabotage. To truly rebuild yourself, you must become your own protector. You must learn to say, I'm tired and I need rest, or I've had enough stimulation today and I need stillness. Honoring your needs is not weakness, it is maturity. It's recognizing that you can't pour from an empty cup. It's also important to feed your energy with things that inspire you. Just as you need to avoid what drains you, you must seek out what energizes you. Read books that challenge your thinking. Listen to music that lifts your soul. Spend time in nature. Surround yourself with people who speak life into you. Create a daily routine that includes time to reflect, breathe, and reset. These small moments of intentional care add up. They help you stay centered in a world that constantly pulls your attention in every direction. Your energy is sacred. Your environment matters. When you treat both with reverence, you begin to feel more grounded, more confident, and more aligned. You no longer live in reaction mode. You're no longer tossed around by other people's emotions or overwhelmed by clutter and noise. You stand firm, rooted in your own power. You begin to create a life that reflects who you are becoming, not who you were. And in that space of protection and purpose, transformation unfolds. You're no longer surviving, you're thriving. And it all begins with the simple, powerful choice to protect what fuels your growth. Visualizing the rebuilt version of yourself daily is not just a feel-good exercise. It is a transformative act of mental training. Every day, your brain is influenced by what you focus on. If you constantly think about your fears, your limitations, or your past failures, your mind will begin to expect more of the same. But when you intentionally visualize the person you are becoming, stronger, wiser, healthier, more focused, you begin to rewire your brain to believe in that reality. And when your brain believes in it, you start to act in ways that make it true. The power of visualization lies in its ability to create clarity. One of the biggest reasons people struggle to rebuild themselves is because they're stuck in survival mode. They're reacting to life instead of designing it. But when you take a few minutes each day to close your eyes and vividly imagine your highest self, you shift from reacting to creating. You take back control of your narrative. You remind yourself that you are not a victim of your circumstances. You are the author of your future. This practice doesn't have to be complicated. Find a quiet space, sit still, breathe deeply. Then ask yourself, who is the version of me I'm working toward? How do I speak, walk, think, and behave? What choices do I make? What energy do I carry? See it clearly, feel it emotionally, engage all your senses. What does your environment look like? Who are you surrounded by? What does your day-to-day life feel like? The more specific your vision, the more powerful the effect. Your brain doesn't know the difference between a vividly imagined reality and a real one. It starts building neural connections to support the version you're seeing. Visualization is not just about future dreaming, it's about daily alignment. It becomes a compass for your decisions and behaviors. When you begin your day by mentally stepping into the shoes of your rebuilt self, you're more likely to act in alignment with that identity. You ask yourself, what would the focused, disciplined version of me do right now? Or how would the healed, confident version of me respond to this situation? This creates a powerful feedback loop. The more you act like that version of yourself, the more your mind believes it, and the more that identity becomes your new normal. Another powerful aspect of daily visualization is that it gives you emotional leverage. Change is hard. Discipline can be exhausting. Healing takes time. But when you're deeply connected to the vision of your future self, you have a reason to push through the discomfort. You have something to fight for. You begin to value long-term rewards more than short-term relief. And when setbacks come, as they always do, you're less likely to give up because you're not just living for the present moment. You're living for the person you are becoming. It's important to understand that visualization is not about pretending life is perfect. It's not a fantasy or a denial of reality. It's a tool for directing your focus, elevating your emotional state, and preparing your brain to recognize and seize opportunities that align with your goals. When you visualize daily, you begin to notice doors opening that you used to walk past. You speak up when you would have stayed quiet. You make different choices, not because you're forcing it, but because you see yourself differently. Consistency is key. You don't need to spend hours doing this. 5 to 10 minutes a day is enough to make a difference. The real power comes from doing it daily without fail. Make it a non-negotiable part of your morning or evening routine. You can pair it with meditation, journaling, or even just sitting in silence. The goal is not perfection. It's presence. Some days the vision will feel vivid and exciting. Other days it may feel distant. That's okay. What matters is that you keep showing up, that you keep reminding your mind who you're becoming. Over time, visualization becomes a form of self-respect. You're saying to yourself, I believe I'm capable of more. You're honoring your potential before the world sees it. And that quiet act of belief becomes the foundation for real change. The more you see it, the more you believe it. The more you believe it, the more you embody it. And the more you embody it, the more you become it. So if you're serious about rebuilding yourself, don't wait for the world to validate you. Don't wait until everything is perfect to begin. Close your eyes and see it now. Speak it now. Feel it now. Do it every single day. Let that vision be your fuel, your guide, and your proof that the new version of you isn't just possible, it's already on the way.